Once upon a time, in the quiet village of Yumikik, there was a family that carried a terrible curse. No man, no woman, no child in the bloodline of Eze Ani lived past 40 years. One by one, they fell, some in their sleep, some in broad daylight, some with no warning at all. The people of Yumikik feared them. Nobody married into their family. They can only marry from the community that does not know their story. Nobody spoke their name after sunset. It was as if something dark waited for them in the shadows, something unseen, but always watching. But how did it begin? What sin had their ancestors committed that refused to die? Tonight, we uncover the chilling truth of the family of Eze Ani and the horror they could not escape. The village of Yumikik was a place of deep traditions. The people feared the spirits of the land, honored their ancestors, and never questioned the warnings passed down from the elders. Thick forests surrounded the village, whispering with the voices of things unseen. The people knew. Some places were not to be entered. Some names were not to be spoken after dark. But there was one family that carried a darkness deeper than any forgotten shrine. The family of Eze Ani. Long ago, they were the wealthiest in Yumikik. Their barns were full, their warriors strong, their daughters sought after. But now, their homes were empty, their voices were fading, their bloodline was dying. It was not sickness, it was not war, it was something far worse. A curse that began with a single terrible act. Many years ago, when Eze Ani's great-grandfather, Omego, was still young, he was part of something unforgivable, something that could never be undone. The elders had gathered under the great silk cotton tree. The air was thick with the smell of burning incense. A man knelt before them, his hands tied behind his back, his body shaking, his face covered in sweat. His name was Ikena, and he was innocent, but the village had chosen him. They said he was a thief. They said he had broken the sacred laws, and for that, he had to be buried alive. Omego was among the men who carried him to the pit. He was among those who threw in the first handful of dirt. He was among those who watched as Ikena struggled, screamed, begged, until his voice was swallowed by the earth. But before the last handful of soil fell, before the darkness claimed him forever, Ikena's voice rang out, strong, clear, and filled with something more terrifying than death. Your bloodline will never see old age. None of your children will reach 40. His words did not shake the elders. His words did not stop the ritual. But the earth heard, the spirits heard, and the curse was set in stone. The countdown had begun. The curse was real. The people of Yumikik did not believe it at first. They thought it was just the dying words of a desperate man. They thought it would fade, like whispers carried away by the wind. But then the deaths began. Eze Ani's grandfather, Abadike, was the first. A strong man, full of life, feared and respected. The night of his 40th birthday, he went to bed as usual, with no sickness, no complaint, no sign of trouble. By morning, he was gone. They found him lying peacefully on his mat, his eyes wide open, staring at something no one else could see. His hands were clenched tight, his face frozen in shock. Some said he must have seen something in his final moments, something that came for him in the night. The villagers muttered among themselves, but no one dared to say the word. Curse. Not yet. Then came the next death. Abadike's son, Eze Ani's father, Namdi, a proud warrior, a man who laughed loudly and feared nothing. He lived his life without worry, ignoring the shadow of his father's fate, until his 40th birthday came. Just 3 days after, he was walking through the village square when he suddenly stopped. His body stiffened. His eyes widened in horror, as if something unseen had grabbed him. And then he collapsed, dead. No sickness, no wounds, no explanation. Now, the whispers grew louder. The villagers avoided the family's compound. Mothers pulled their children away when any of Eze Ani's relatives walked past. One by one, the deaths continued. Uncles, older cousins, brothers, none of them reached 40. By now, the family knew the truth. This was no coincidence. This was no ordinary fate. This was a death sentence, passed down from father to son, mother to daughter, and no one could escape it. Imagine living with a death sentence. Imagine counting down the years, the months, the days, knowing exactly when your life will end. How would you live if you knew the hour of your death was already decided? The family tried everything. They brought powerful dibyas, medicine men from faraway lands. Sacrifices were made, prayers were whispered, charms were tied around their necks. But nothing worked. The deaths continued. One relative, Afamafina, could not take any more. He was 39 years old, just months away from the cursed age. He refused to die like the others. So one night, he ran. He left Yumikik behind, changed his name, settled in a village far, far away. For a while, he believed he was safe. Until the night before his 40th birthday. The villagers in his new home found him lying by the river at dawn, face down, eyes open, hands clenched, dead. The curse had followed him. No one could escape. No one could run. The family of Eze Ani was doomed. Eze Ani was running out of time. He had watched his father collapse. He had buried his uncles. He had seen the fear in his older cousins' eyes as their 40th birthdays drew near. He had heard their prayers. He had seen their silent tears. And now it was his turn. Eze Ani was 38. He no longer slept through the night. Every morning, he woke up wondering if death was already lurking in the shadows. Every birthday felt like a step closer to the grave. He could not wait. He could not pretend. He had to do something. So he sought out the only man who might have the answers. Dibia Okeke, the most feared seer in the land. A man who spoke with the spirits. A man whose words could heal or destroy. The Dibia's shrine stood at the edge of the village, hidden deep within the forest. Skulls of animals hung from the trees. Strange symbols covered the walls. The air smelled of burning herbs and something older, something ancient. Eze Ani knelt before the seer, his hands shaking. Great One, help me. My time is almost here. I cannot die like the others. Dibia Okeke did not speak at first. He simply stared, his eyes cloudy, as if he was looking at something far beyond this world. Then he whispered, "Blood must pay for blood." Eze Ani felt a chill run down his spine. "What do you mean?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The Dibia's voice was deep, heavy with something dark and unseen. The spirit of the buried man still cries beneath the earth. His soul has not rested. His bones are cursed. His voice calls out in the night. Until he is found, until he is atoned for, your bloodline will never be free. Eze Ani's throat went dry. You must find his remains. You must face what your ancestors did. And you must atone before your time runs out. Eze Ani wasted no time. That very night, he gathered his remaining family members, his younger brother, his cousins, armed with lanterns and shovels. They made their way to the place where the terrible act had been committed so many years ago. The old burial site. The silk cotton tree still stood tall, its roots thick and twisted, as if guarding something. The earth beneath it was hard, dry, untouched for decades. They dug, and they dug. Sweat dripped from their faces. The night air grew colder. The wind carried whispers. Or maybe it was just their minds playing tricks. Then one of them gasped. Their shovels had struck something. Bones. But something was wrong. The bones were still there, but they were not alone. What they uncovered sent shivers down their spines. What do you think they found? Could the curse finally be broken? Or had they just awakened something far worse? Eze Ani's hands trembled as he brushed away the dirt. His breath came in short, shaky gasps. They had found the bones, but something was terribly wrong. The bones did not belong to one man. There were many, skulls scattered, rib cages tangled together, broken fingers, still curled as if they had been clawing at the earth. This was no single burial. This was a graveyard. The truth hit them like thunder. Ikena was not the only one. The ancestors of Eze Ani's family had buried others, many others. How many had died screaming beneath the soil? How many souls have been trapped in the darkness, their voices silenced? A horrifying thought crept into Eze Ani's mind. What if the curse was not just from Ikena? What if it came from all of them? The spirits of the forgotten, the spirits of the betrayed, the spirits of the murdered. He stumbled back, his heart pounding. His younger brother, Chidi, crossed himself and muttered a prayer. Their mother whispered, "Chinik, what have our forefathers done?" They had to return to Dibia, Keke. The journey back felt longer, the trees pressing around them. The air felt heavy, thick, as if unseen eyes watched their every step. By the time they reached the Dibia shrine, their legs were weak, their mouths dry. Dibia Okeke was already waiting for them. His face was grave, his eyes darker than before. He did not ask what they had found. He already knew. "The curse is worse than you thought," he said, his voice heavy like a storm about to break. Eze Ani's lips parted, but no words came. "The spirits want more than atonement," the Dibia continued. "They want revenge." That night, everything changed. The whispers grew louder. Shadows flickered across walls, moving when no one did. And then the deaths began again. But this time they were different. It was no longer just those nearing 40. Now, the curse had evolved. It was stronger, more violent. Chidi was the first. He was only 28. They found him outside the family compound, his body stiff, his mouth open in a silent scream. His hands were clawed, his fingernails broken, as if he tried to fight something no one could see. Then it was Igioma, their cousin, only 25. She had been praying at the village shrine when she suddenly gasped, clutched her throat, and collapsed, dead before she hit the ground. Panic spread through the family like wildfire. The rules had changed. The spirits were no longer waiting for 40. Now no one was safe. Now death could come at any time. And in the dead of night, when all was silent, when the lanterns burned low, something else began. An eerie voice calling Eze Ani's name. How do you fight something older than time itself? How do you stop a curse that no longer follows the rules? And most terrifying of all, how do you escape death when it has already chosen you? Eze Ani had no choice. He was the last hope of his family. One by one they had fallen, his father, his uncles, his cousins, and now even the young ones. The curse had changed. It was no longer waiting for 40. It was no longer patient. Now it was hungry, and it wanted them all. Desperate, trembling, knowing that time was running out, Eze Ani returned to Dibia Keke. "There is only one way left," the Dibia said, his voice heavy with something ancient, something final, a last ritual. Atonement will not be enough. The spirits do not want forgiveness. They want to clear them all. Ritual had to be performed in the very place where it all began, the cursed land. The family gathered at the burial site, those who were left. The earth was restless beneath their feet. The trees swayed though there was no wind. The air was thick, suffocating, pressing it on them like unseen hands. Dibia Okeke stood in the center, his staff raised high, his voice calling to the spirits beyond the veil. They burned offerings. They spilled blood. They chanted names that had not been spoken in centuries. And then the ground shook. A foul wind tore through the clearing. The fire went out, and something woke up. The spirits had been waiting. They had been watching. And now they were here. Shadows bled from the trees, crawling toward them. Figures formed in the darkness. Faces twisted, mouths open in silent screams. The dead had come for what was theirs. Eze Ani felt his legs weaken. His breath came in short, panicked gasps. He tried to run, but the spirits did not come for them one by one. They came all at once. A force, cold, unseen, unstoppable, ripped through the clearing. A scream tore from his throat as he was lifted from the ground. His arms flailed. His fingers grasped at nothing. "Help me," he cried. But no one could move. No one could help. No one dared to breathe. Eze Ani's body twisted in midair. His head snapped toward the heavens. His mouth opened in a soundless scream, his final scream, before the darkness swallowed him whole. And just like that, he was gone, vanished into the night, dragged into the shadows. The curse had taken its final victim. And then the wind stopped. The trees stilled. The whispers faded. And for the first time in centuries, the death stopped. The curse had been lifted. But at what cost? Hay say no one ever saw Eze Ani again, but some nights when the wind is still, when the trees sway without reason, they say you can still hear his voice, crying, calling, waiting, because some curses never truly die. The village of Yumikik fell silent after that night. The air felt lighter. The weight of fear that had gripped the family for generations had lifted. No more deaths. No more whispers. No more shadows lurking in the dark. Some say Eze Ani had sacrificed himself to break the curse, that his soul was taken in exchange for the lives of those who remained. But others are not so sure. There are those who believe the spirits are not gone, that they are only waiting, watching, patient for the next generation, for the right moment, for another bloodline to reach its 40th year. What do you think? Did the curse truly end, or is the family still doomed? The screen fades from black, revealing the same abandoned house, now overgrown with weeds. The air is still. The wind does not blow. The village remains quiet. But then something changes. A new family arrives. A man, his wife, and their young son stand before the house, staring at its mysterious beauty. The little boy tugs at his father's hand. Papa, who lived here before? The father shakes his head. No one, my son. It has been empty for many, many years. The camera lingers on the doorway as the family steps inside. From deep within the shadows, a faint whisper drifts through the air. Eze Ani, this is the danger of forgotten sins. Curses are not always broken. Sometimes they are only buried. And when history is ignored, it has a way of waking up again. Some say Eze Ani's sacrifice freed his family. But others say curses do not disappear. They only wait for the next opportunity to continue. Moral lesson: the past is never truly gone. The sins of our ancestors do not always stay buried. What we do today echoes into the future. So, be careful where you step. Be mindful of the secrets you keep, because some things, some curses never die. What you believe, was the curse broken, or is it only waiting for its next victim? If you think this was terrifying, wait till you hear about another chilling curse from Igbo lands. A curse so dark, even those who whispered about it were never seen again. A village where no child has been born in over 100 years. A forbidden forest where the spirits of the unborn cry in the night. A secret so horrifying, even the oldest elders refuse to speak of it. Are you ready for the next tale? Text on screen, coming soon. Did the curse truly end, or is it only waiting for its next victim? Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you believe in ancestral curses? And if you love stories like this, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another tale from the depths of African folklore. Until next time, stay curious and be careful where you step.